Hi everyone, welcome to your 1.3 video. This video is going to be about symbolism in A Raisin in the Sun. Make sure you have your packet open right now to the 1.3 notes so you can take notes while you watch this video. So we have already read Act 1, Scene 1 in the play A Raisin in the Sun. And so today we're going to be talking about some examples of symbols that we've seen so far and what they mean. You've probably heard the term symbol and symbolism in your English classes before, but we're going to do a little refresher on the definition here. A symbol is something that represents something else. And it's usually something tangible, which means like an object that you could physically hold in your hands, that represents something else, which is usually intangible. So that means like a bigger idea or deeper theme. Symbolism is basically just when an author or artist uses the technique of symbols in their work. Symbols are all around us. Writers use them, but we also have to watch carefully in order to find them. Let's look at a couple common examples of some symbols and what they might symbolize or represent. So first we have the symbol of a crown, which is a tangible object. And a crown can represent or symbolize things like power or wealth. A rose is also a super common symbol, and usually it represents love or romance, right? But sometimes a rose could also symbolize danger, because if we think about the thorns on a rose, they can be really harmful or dangerous. Finally, we have the symbol of a snake. And snakes can represent a lot of different things. They can symbolize multiple ideas. So first, a snake could symbolize cunningness or cleverness, but it can also symbolize evil or danger. And finally, because a snake can shed its skin, we can also think about a snake symbolizing transformation or change. So make sure you've gotten these examples written down in your notes of some common symbols. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit to talk about Langston Hughes. So Langston Hughes was a really famous American poet and social activist living in the early 1900s. And he wrote a poem called Harlem that we're going to be talking about today. The poem Harlem was written in 1959. And it refers back to the Harlem Renaissance. So the Harlem Renaissance was a time during the 1920s and the 1930s where there was just a boom in African-American creativity through jazz music and poetry and art. And Langston Hughes was a big part of the Harlem Renaissance. He was writing a lot of poetry and influenced by the jazz music and the creativity of that time in the African-American community. And the Harlem Renaissance was really based in Harlem, New York City. And there was a large African-American community living there at that time. So why are we talking about the poem Harlem? It's because it's actually the namesake for A Raisin in the Sun. So right at the beginning of our play, you'll actually see the poem written here. And we're going to read it today together, and you'll see how it's related to A Raisin in the Sun. As we read, think about, why is this poem called Harlem? What kind of symbols is Langston Hughes using? And what can this poem tell us about our play, A Raisin in the Sun? So first we're going to read through the poem, and then we'll talk about what it means. So Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? So that's the whole poem. That's Harlem by Langston Hughes. And now we're going to talk about what some of these key words mean in the poem so we can understand what he's saying. The word deferred means put on hold. So what happens to a dream that's put on hold, or a dream that someone can't achieve? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore? So that means like a wound that on your body that gets infected and then run, that means it would like leak out pus, which is some pretty gross imagery there. And then when he says, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet, that kind of means like developing a scab like the coating of a sugary dessert. Or maybe it just sags like a heavy load. That means like it just kind of falls over because it's too heavy. So in this poem, Langston Hughes uses a lot of symbols. And he's connecting those symbols to the idea of someone not being able to achieve their dream. So he compares not being able to achieve your dream, a dream deferred, to a raisin in the sun, to a festering sore, to rotten meat, to sweet syrup, to a heavy load, and to something that explodes. So now we need to think about, what does this poem mean, and how does it connect to our essential question about a dream put on hold? In your packet, to answer number 5, you are going to be using this sentence frame or sentence starter to talk about what this poem is saying about a dream put on hold. For example, you might say something like, the speaker of Harlem implies that dreams put on hold dry up and die by comparing the symbol of a raisin in the sun to a dream deferred. So choose one of the symbols that Langston Hughes uses and talk about how it is being connected to a dream that is put on hold. So now we're going to think a little bit about the symbols we've already seen in the play A Raisin in the Sun. In the final question for your notes, you're going to be choosing one of these symbols. So as I talk about them, I want you to think, which one of these symbols do you want to focus on? We have the symbol of Mama's houseplant, and think about how that could be connected to Mama's dream of owning a house with a backyard and a garden. We obviously have the symbol of money, which means a lot of different things to different characters and their dreams. We have the symbol of the eggs that Ruth cooks for Walter, and we talked a little bit about what that might symbolize about their relationship or their marriage. We have the ironing board. We see that Ruth is often cleaning or ironing. So think about what that might symbolize for her and her dreams. And then we have 2 symbols that could connect to Benita. Remember, she is a university student, so we have some textbooks or school books. And then she's also starting to learn how to play guitar. So both of these could symbolize things about Benita's dreams and her future. In your packet now, for question number 6, your last question, I want you to choose one of those symbols. And you're actually going to go back into the play, open up your book, and go back to the pages that are connected to your symbol. So if you choose the eggs as your symbol, you're going to go to page 26, and then 33 and 34, and look at the quotes that talk about the symbol of the eggs. How does the symbol appear in the book? Does someone use it, talk about it, want it? Be as specific as you can. And then maybe the most important thing you're going to be thinking about is, what is this symbol, like the object of the eggs, what does that represent on a deeper figurative level? So what idea or theme are the eggs representing, or is that symbol representing? Spend some time really thinking about this in your packet. Feel free to talk to your classmates and ask me for help if you are stuck. But good luck. That is all of 1.3.